Great. Good evening, everyone. It's 7:03, and I'll call this meeting to order. Welcome. So item number 2, do we have any minutes to approve?
I sent them to Kushel and I emailed them to him. I don't know if they're on the drive.
Okay. So we'll put that on for the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay,
But
great.
they were sent in.
Review and sign any bills?
No bills
No,
this evening.
no bills. Any board meeting comments? No. So we move right along. New business. I'd like to welcome Habitat for Humanity. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
I'm excited to hear your presentation on what you have, and to get caught up on, the good things and the new things that you're doing, and hopefully, we can find a working relationship where we can do some work here in Shrewsbury as well. With that said, I'd like to welcome Debbie,
Yes.
and you're the executive director at Habitat for Humanity, and Mr. Joseph Townsend. And you are, your title, I always forget.
Development director.
Development Director. And we have another gentleman here today,
Hank Roush, I'm a volunteer with the Habitat.
Habitat. Welcome, and
Thank
thank you for coming and attending as well. And I would like to turn the floor over to you
Wonderful.
so that you can make this presentation.
Thank you. So Hank is on our site acquisition committee and our construction committee, and he's also active with the West Boylston Housing Trust, Westboro Housing Trust. So his perspective, he gets to see it from both ends. So, you all may be familiar with Habitat for Humanity. Our mission, much like yours, is to address affordable housing. We build homes, communities, and hope, and our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. We work with families with the philosophy of a hand up, not a handout. So families partner with Habitat. When a family partners with Habitat, they perform 300 hours of work with us before buying their home. And that work is a combination of education classes, financial education, budgeting, awareness on first-time home buyer, and what that process looks like and what it means to them, as well as hands-on construction work on their home or other homes that Habitat is building. And the vast majority of the families that we work with, and all of the ones that we work with that the homes are going on subsidized housing inventory, are first-time home buyers by requirement for that program. So very often it is the first time the family really has the responsibility for taking care of all of the things within the house, and not being able to call a landlord to fix a problem. So being involved in the construction sort of takes away the mystery of what's behind the wall, and gives a deeper insight to what goes into the building of a home, which gives them more confidence as a homeowner. This is our affiliate service area. We have 42 cities and towns. We will be celebrating our 40th anniversary in January. In our 40 years in existence, we have completed 61 affordable homes and 52 home repairs. So we do home repairs as well for existing homeowners who meet our income limits and help them to maintain their homes in safe and livable conditions so that they can remain in their homes with dignity when they can't afford to get those repairs done with outside agencies. We have a 3-year strategic plan that we are in the middle of. And this is a really exciting time to be involved with Habitat. We are on a mission to build 30 homes within the next 3 years. I'm gonna skip past our housing crisis. And right now, we have 16 homes that are either under construction or recently completed within our 30-year goal. We have 2 more that we've just gotten under our ownership, so we've got 18 of our 30 underway. Many of these, as you can see, are in Worcester. We have partnered most strongly in Worcester. That's where the affiliate began, and approximately half of the builds that we've done have been in Worcester. 2 of our current homes are just over the Shrewsbury line on Sunderland Road by the registry. It's a very highly visible location, and a lot of folks have noticed those homes going up. But it's a great opportunity to see what our homes look like if you haven't seen one of those yet. Another of the towns that we have worked very closely with in our existence is the town of Northborough. And one of the units that we have under rehab right now, it will be the 9th unit that we have built in Northborough. That one came to us through a fantastic story. We built the home originally in 1999, and the family moved into it, lived there for many years. The mom passed away recently. The now adult daughter, who is living on her own, married with kids, called Habitat and said, you know, our home was built in 1999. There is no deed restriction because that wasn't part of the program at that time. So this home is available for market rate, but I couldn't have lived the life that I lived if we didn't have Habitat. So if Habitat would like to repurchase this home and sell it to another family, that's what we'd like to do. So that's what we did, and we are in the process of renovating that now. So I'm going to skip back a slide. The housing crisis. I'm sure you are all aware of the situation that we're in Massachusetts. I mean, it's nationwide, but our data here about the rising cost of home prices and the number of families that are cost burdened for their housing and the dramatic lack of housing that is available in our area is getting worse over time and not better. So that was part of what spurred us to change our pace and our approach and to make this goal for 30 homes in 3 years, because we know that we need to be able to make a bigger impact to more families more quickly. So, the way that we work when we are working with municipalities and housing trusts, once Habitat has a property that has been deeded to us, we create the application, the LIP, Local Action Unit application, and submit that to the Executive Office of Housing Livable Communities, and then we navigate any questions or concerns that they have about the construction of the unit, the location of the unit, size, if there's any local preference involved in the process, and what that marketing will look like, and what the maximum sale price will be. So we navigate that process at the beginning so that at the tail end, when we sell the unit, it is all set up to be added to the subsidized housing inventory for the town. Part of the process from, I'm going to abbreviate it to HLC, because Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities is a mouthful. One of the requirements from HLC is that the town has to have a commitment for the unit in order for a unit to be added to the subsidized housing inventory. So when we work with housing trusts, we ask for a financial contribution to the building of the home, and we also typically ask for land that can be donated from the town to be developed. We have traditionally received that the majority of it has been vacant lots. However, we have done rehabs as well. We have a recent rehab that we completed actually last year in Holliston. It was a almost 200-year-old home that had been vacant. It had been taken for tax taking. The roof had caved in, and it was on a main strip. So it was an eyesore for the town. So they donated that the home and the land to Habitat, as well as some CPA funds to help us to renovate that, and it was a full gut rehab. We took out everything and used the bones, but everything else was replaced and new. And it looks lovely, and the family is living there and very happy. We also, another notable rehab we did was on Main Street in Northborough, the old Gale General Store. So we renovated that. It was a very fun rehab because when we opened up the walls, there were bills from the early 1900s saying 10 cents for a tin of salt or buffalo skin. So we made a donation to the Northborough Historical Society with some of the things that we found, and some of the students who were working on that site actually buried a time capsule on site with old and new things. So that was a fun one as well. The next step in the process is that we do our marketing with as broad an outreach as possible, and go through the application process. Our selection requires that homeowners are making between 30 and 60% of the area median income. 60% is a level that most families are not eligible for conventional mortgage products. So we partner with them. We don't set the sale price of the home until the family has been selected. And at the end of the process, we set the sale price such that the family's mortgage payment will not be more than 30% of their income, whatever their income is. So what that means is we work with a variety of banks to use innovative products to make a mortgage work. Sometimes that is a forgivable second mortgage that Habitat holds that is diminished over time with no repayment required. Sometimes there are grants and subsidies for down payment assistance, closing cost assistance, but we work with the homeowners and with the banks in partnership to find a solution that is going to work for the family and have that sale price be affordable to them. So once we have all of the applicants who are eligible, we hold a lottery, and there are regulations from HLC on how that process goes. We then rank every single person who was eligible. So the first family that is eligible, that meets the bedroom requirements for the home, gets ranked as number 1, and the second one gets ranked as number 2. And we do every single eligible applicant in order. And then we make the offer to the first family, and we have a deeper conversation with the family for what it means to partner with Habitat, and the requirements that we have, and the fact that the home will be deed restricted in perpetuity, which means they will gain equity, but they won't gain it at market rates. So all of these nuanced pieces is very important for the family to be educated at the beginning of the process. If they choose to move forward, we move forward with them. And if they choose not to, then we move to that second family that was selected through the lottery, which is why we rank all of them. We do our fundraising through corporate and team builds. Did you have a question?
I was going to ask a question.
Sure.
So with the homes, are they allowed to make any upgrades throughout the life of that they're living in the unit?
Yes, so they can absolutely make upgrades and changes to the homes. If they want the upgrade to impact the maximum sale price that's set by the deed restriction, then that has to be approved up front. So HLC controls that. So they would have to notify HLC of those upgrades, and HLC would either say yes or no, this qualifies, and then they would keep that in record so that at the eventual sale date, that maximum sale price would be modified as needed. Once we've completed the construction, we convey the property to the family through the mortgage products that I discussed, and then the deed rider remains on the property in perpetuity. So every subsequent resale of the property is sold at the same discount that the original family received. So there's a calculation that is done at the beginning of the process, and it compares the sale price of the home with the current area median income at 100%. And that ratio is established and created onto the deed. And then when the home is resold, that number is the ratio that determines what the maximum sale price is the second time it's sold, and the third time it's sold, et cetera. So that the sale price does increase over time, which allows the family to gain equity. But it is controlled, and it always remains affordable to a family making no more than 80% of the AMI at that time.
So 80% is on the resale?
Yes. Yep. I'm throwing a lot of information out. I want to pause for a second. Are there any questions so far? Okay.
Nope.
All right, so to go back over the requirements for the home buyers, they need to make between 30 and 60% of the area median income. They need to be a first-time home buyer as defined by HLC, which includes exclusions for things like if you owned a home and then were divorced, right? You could then still be qualified buying your first home independently as a first-time home buyer. Or if you hadn't owned a home in a certain number of years, you are still qualified as a first-time home buyer. So there's a full definition of what that means through HLC. They need to meet that definition. They need to meet the financial qualifications to qualify for one of the mortgages, which means they need to have a credit score that is acceptable by the banks, which tends to be more lenient with Habitat's partner banks than a traditional mortgage. They need to have a percentage of down payment costs, which they work with Habitat to save over the time that they're doing their sweat equity. So they make small monthly payments, and we hold those funds in escrow for them so that it is ready and available at the time they get to closing. They need to have completed their 300 sweat equity hours. And they need to have been selected by the lottery process. Habitat then submits the homeowner's income and the details of the mortgage product to HLC, who does final approval before we actually go to close. And then we work with the closing attorneys and HLC to establish the deed riders and the restrictions on the property, and all gets filed, and we have a big party at the house, and it's a welcome home party for the family.
I have a question. So is there any continued support from Habitat from Humanity after the sale?
Yes, yes. So we partner with our families. I don't want to necessarily say for life, but for as long as the families are willing and interested in partnering with Habitat. So we want to be the first call when they run into life, right? So there's a death, there's a divorce, there's an unexpected job loss or job change. Any of the things that happen, there's a new baby and we want to change what's happening, with the unfinished room in the basement or whatever it is. So we have a family services administrator who is that support. She is well versed in all of the assistance programs that are available in the area, and she doesn't act as a referral service so much as a partner with families and walks them through. All right, here's a thing, we can apply for this thing, we can, do it together over the phone, I can help you check on it. That's, so she works very closely with families when situations come up. But we do like to be that first call. Many of our partner families really utilize that support as things come up. Some of our partner families, once they have moved into their home, they are happy and independent, and we don't talk to them much again after that. Periodic Christmas cards, where we watch the kids grow up. But we do offer ongoing supports if it's requested. Separate part of our program, we have a home repair program as well. And the focus of that program is safety, code issues, health issues, allowing families to stay in the homes that they own in a way that can keep them safe and healthy. We have a very large aging population and a very old housing stock in Massachusetts. And that combination creates a situation where a lot of our seniors don't have the funds, because they are now on restricted incomes, to maintain the homes that now have very expensive repairs to be made. So this program has been growing. It's not restricted to seniors. It is open to all families making between 30 and 80% AMI. However, seniors do tend to be the most frequent request that we get for home repairs.
And how do, excuse me, how do you identify candidates for the home repair?
They call us.
They call.
Yes, so we have a lot of outreach. One of our most successful recent programs was we partnered with the senior center in the town of Holliston. They allocated $150,000 of their ARPA funds, which they received as a result of the COVID pandemic, to home repairs for seniors. And so we held office hours, we put information in newsletters, we met with families and helped them to complete applications, identify projects, and completed 9 home repairs through that program for seniors in Holliston. So we do outreach that way. We also advertise it through all of our standard sort of social media and newsletter posts, and all the places that we advertise all of our other programs.
And you said that's 30 to 80% AMI
Yes.
to qualify?
Yep, and there are a couple exceptions to that. So if the family is a veteran, then there are some programs that don't require that lower end, that 30%, because there are some programs that are specifically veteran targeted that don't require any sort of repayment. Yep.
What kind of home repairs are they doing?
So roofs are a really common repair. Gutters and drainage of water away from the house. Decks and porches are also really common. Sometimes bathroom upgrades, grab bars, accessibility changes, trip and fall hazards. One of the most recent ones that came in was a senior family who lost the ability to go to the basement to do their laundry. And so they need plumbing change and a stackable washer dryer on their main living floor so that they can actually continue to do laundry, because it had become a significant problem in their lives. They couldn't wash their clothes anymore. So that type of thing. Sometimes a family will have received a notice from inspectional services stating there's a visible problem with the home, and so it's a code issue, and so we'll get that. A little bit more recent things that are happening are that home insurance companies are sending out drones and threatening cancellation of policies for things. And so families are calling to say, this was noted by my home insurance company, and I need to fix this, these broken steps on my rear deck or whatever it is, in order to remain insured. So a couple of the recent projects that we did. Last year, we completed this home in Sturbridge. The town of Sturbridge donated a vacant lot of land, and 50% of the home project costs to this project. It's a 3-bedroom, a bath and a half. I actually think in the end we changed the model and it was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The family that moved into it had 5 kids. And on the day of the dedication, it was the first day that the children had seen the home, so the parents had been there working on it, but the children hadn't seen it yet. The entire family of 7 had been living in an apartment that was smaller than the basement of the home that they moved into, and the children were just running from one end of the yard to the other, so excited they had that much space to move. It was an amazing experience. It was a really fun day. The 2 projects that we have underway at Sunderland Road, I had mentioned, those will also both be 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And those are framed in now. Complete exterior is done. We're doing some exterior painting, and our next step is to start working on the interiors. So we've got probably 10 months left on that project. Boundary Street in Northborough is the one that I told you about that we recently repurchased from a homeowner. That one, when we built it, it was a duplex, so it's a condo. Excuse me. And so we're renovating it. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, so a little bit smaller, on Boundary Road in Northborough. But we've just gone through and refreshed the entire interior of that, and we have just a little bit more. And we're really hoping to actually install solar on the roof of that one, and the Sunderland Road ones as well, because part of affordability for a homeowner is long-term affordability, which includes utilities, right? So it needs to be efficient for heat. We do install mini splits, which allow for cooling as well. So as our environment is changing, that did not used to be a part of Habitat's program, and it has become a part of Habitat's program. It's a really important thing now for seniors to be healthy in their homes. They do have to have cooling in the summer, which, you know, when Habitat began 40 years ago, wasn't part of Massachusetts climate. So. Next steps. This one's why we have Hank in the room. The way that Habitat works with housing trusts are typically the housing trust works with town planner. Habitat can get involved in the conversation to identify good opportunities. Where are there either vacant lots or available rehabs that the town wants to identify for affordable housing? You also identify what amount of CPA funds are available for a project, and important to have that conversation right up front. So typically, the amount of funds for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath unit like the ones that I discussed, it's the CPA funds that are donated are about $150,000, which is about 1/3 of the material cost of the home. The property generally needs to be put out on an RFP basis, so request for proposal gets posted with the terms, identifying that you know it needs to be an affordable home. We have templates that we have worked with, so the town of Northborough and the town of Holliston use the same RFP, which simplifies the process in putting properties out for that, and we'd be happy to connect you with those folks or to share those templates with you when a property is identified. Habitat responds to the RFP. Sometimes other agencies respond to the RFP. Sometimes we're the only respondent to the RFP. But a formal evaluation has to be done to ensure that we meet all of the terms that are required. Then there is documentation about the transfer and changing that ownership and deeding the property to Habitat so that we can begin the process. We cannot begin the LIP process until it has been deeded to us, and then we begin that application process. Miss any of those critical steps, Hank?
That's great.
All right. And that's the way the process works, yes?
What's the biggest size house that you do? Like, you had the duplex in Northborough. Like, would you do, just say if there was a building that had 6 apartments that could be condos, is that something that you would take on, or is it?
Yes,
Like more of
absolutely.
the smaller units?
So one of the projects that we are designing right now is actually a 6-unit condominium project to hopefully go into Northborough. Jinx myself here, but it's a proposal that is in process, and the intention would be to be 3 duplexes with a shared drive,
Okay.
but 6 units inside of a building, especially if it's an existing building with rehab. So the evaluation that we do is really about whether the cost to renovate whatever the structure is into what we want for housing can fit within our cost model. There is almost always economies of scale, right? So if we're putting 6 units in, that allows flexibility to do things that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. However, depending on location, sometimes that also requires, well, it would always require a sprinkler at this point, but sometimes it requires fire truck turnaround or, other specific things. So we do the evaluation per site and determine whether it would fit our criteria.
And kudos for the mini splits in the housing. So I just did a whole house heat pump and I have a mini split in the basement, so, yeah.
I have
It's
a-
lovely to have.
Yes.
Do you have any questions? I have a list, so mine is in writing here, so I don't forget.
No.
No? Carlos?
Thank you, Debbie, for that. That was wonderful to learn more. Just curious if, what's the typical timeline from start to finish? I don't know.
So for construction or for full project?
For the full project.
So from town identification until we're handing keys to a family,
Yeah.
entirely depends on the town. So some of those, the identification to the point where Habitat becomes the deed owner is as short as 3 or 4 months, and sometimes it's as long as 9 years plus. So that
Wow.
entirely depends on, the process within the town. The construction for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath is typically 12 to 15 months. And for a duplex, typically 18 to 24 months. And mitigating factors are things like whether the home will be on water and sewer, or whether septic and well need to go in. What types of, what the distance is to the road, what grade is on the property, those sorts of things. But averages, that's about how long it takes.
That's helpful. Thank you. And then for the home repair program, is there a limit, like a cost limit?
Yes. So the maximum amount that Habitat will invest in a home repair is $25,000. We do.
Sorry, go on.
So we do partner with other nonprofits within the Worcester County area. So, if, for instance, we identified a home that needed a roof and, outdoor work and also needed to replace their heater, we have other agencies that do heaters specifically, or other agencies that do bathroom grab bars specifically, so that we can reduce the cost to Habitat by partnering with others and get more done for the family overall. But we do have an upper limit on ours.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
So with the partnership, let's say if there are grants or things along that line, can Habitat partner with that aspect of it?
Yes, tell me more about.
Like, for example, I know there's improvement grants, home improvement grants, let's say with CHAPA or Mass Housing
Mhm.
or Mass Housing Partnership. Does Habitat work with that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the way that our home repair program is structured, if there are grants to help to support doing the repair, specifically for a property like the ARPA grant that we worked with the town of Holliston, all of the repair funds, were donated by that grant. When we are working outside of comprehensive grants and we're doing, a grant that will cover a piece of the work, it's a loan program, a repair program, and so we evaluate the income level of the family and what percentage of the area median income that is, and then we have a sliding scale matrix for what portion of the repair costs the family would repay. So typically the family is repaying between 16 and 40% of the cost of the repair, depending on where they are on the income scale.
And do you have an existing wait list for the home repair program?
No, we have one repair that is about to kick off, 3 more whose documentation are in process. And then we have a long list of repairs that applicants have reached out but haven't quite finished the paperwork piece, so we're not at evaluation stage. We will, once we have all of our current, applicants that are in process right now approved, we'll have, a 3 or 4 person waiting list as we, complete a project and move to the next project, but we don't have, dozens, person long waiting list of folks.
Good.
And we typically will approve for a season. So we'll approve all of the repairs that can be completed before fall that are external. And then any that are on our list that don't get completed in fall get prioritized for spring. And then we'll evaluate other projects coming in and prioritize work that can be done, that are not weather dependent, to be done over the winter.
And you mentioned partners for the home repair program. Do you also have partners for the home builders?
So Habitat's construction process is pretty independently Habitat. So we have construction staff. We do have subcontractors. We partner with the technical high schools. Those students typically come out whenever available for projects. But the primary construction is, Habitat's the general contractor. Whereas on the repairs, we very often, we don't send our staff and volunteers out to do a roof. We subcontract the roof work out.
The construction project on Sunderland Road,
Yes,
is it possible to take a tour?
absolutely. I would love to have you come out for a tour. We can coordinate that.
Definitely. I would love to do that as well.
Okay?
And we would love to take you up on, the opportunity to share the template when
Okay.
we get to that point as well.
Yeah.
It's much that we can use to simplify the process. We'll definitely take it. No need to reinvent the wheel on that. Any?
Yeah, I have a question. The people that are doing the work, the volunteers, where do they come from? Just the community? Are they, do you
Yeah.
usually have a set people, or do you invite new people to come in and?
Yes to all of those. So we have a dedicated group of folks that we call the regs, and they are the volunteers that come back week after week, and several of whom have been engaged with us for years. One that I can think of off the top of my head has been with us for more than 15 years at this point, out on site a couple of times a week. So we have Habitat construction staff. They work with the regs who are out on a regular basis, so highly skilled volunteers. And then we have corporate teams who come out and sponsor the build and send a team for a day. And these are folks who, we may have to indicate, which thing is the hammer. No skills are required whatsoever. The combination of the construction staff and the regs help to guide them on what they need to do for that day. We have individuals that come from every walk of life. So we have college students who come out, we have church groups that come out. Sunderland Road, we have a group of folks in the neighborhood who have started coming out on a regular basis. They're very excited to see, these lots being developed, and so they want to be a part of it. So we have folks who come out for a day or 4 hours. I started with Habitat because I worked for Bank One and they sponsored a house, and I went out for a 4-hour build day. I then quit my job at Bank One. Don't tell corporations who want to do sponsorships that that's what happened, but I did. I quit my job at Bank One and started working with Habitat, and it has become a lifelong mission for me.
That's great.
Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry.
No, I think
Yeah,
we're good.
Oh, you're good, okay. Just some quick follow-ups on the volunteering. So if someone wanted to get involved, what's the best way for them to
So-
do that, for folks who may be watching?
Sure. So if you go to our website, which is habitatmwgw.org, click on volunteer, and there's a little form to fill out. You'll be contacted by our volunteer coordinator, because step one is to attend a volunteer orientation, and then read through and complete a safety waiver. And then you get a login to schedule the dates, because our construction schedule has a calendar. Sign up for a slot and go volunteer.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
And then I just had one follow-up on, you had mentioned the lottery system, and then after that, the folks get ranked,
Yes.
right? So, I guess what are the common reasons why someone may say no or get denied?
So the ranking system, actually, the primary, thing with the ranking is, requirement from HLC is that you maximize bedroom size. So if the first name pulled in a lottery were a 2-person family and it's a 4-bedroom home, and the second pulled, applicant was a family of 5, they would be ranked higher.
I see.
Common reasons that folks would decline partnering. Some folks are not interested in doing a long-term partnership. 300 hours and a year of construction is a big commitment, and it's not for everybody. Some folks have a more immediate need, or they may begin the process and then their situation changes before they complete the process. So they may self-deselect. If there is a significant change in income for the family during the process, that is one of the rare cases where there would be a deselection. So if they no longer made at least 30% of the area median income, then we can't put them into a financial situation where they would be set up for failure. So that is one of the, we've actually, I don't believe, ever deselected a family, but that is one of the, that's the case where we would do that.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Does that process work when the house is up for resale? Or is it just strictly on
That's
affordability?
just
to
that's
buy?
the first time of the sale. When it's up for resale, HLC becomes involved in, qualifying the second buyer to ensure that they meet the income restriction, it's still affordable. They ensure that the home sells for no more than that maximum calculated price. But that's the extent of the process.
The process then would go just like a typical home sale, but just they have to meet the requirements.
That's right.
With the HLC's wait list, or who
No.
No.
would have the wait list?
No. No, because this isn't like a housing authority
Yeah.
type home. It's available to the public, so
Okay.
people can, if it's a public sale, and so if
Okay.
somebody's interested in purchasing it,
Got it.
and they meet the eligibility requirements, then,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So just want to give you a quick update on where we are in
Yes.
the process. I know Joseph has been here from the very beginning. We completed our plan, and what we're doing now is we're reviewing our vacant list lots that we have. So we have multiple lists that we're merging and confirming what's actually available.
Okay.
And we hope to, get through that in the coming months as well, and then identify any, potential opportunities.
Okay.
And, we are very excited about the opportunity, of pushing this forward as well. We want to see some good work done.
Okay.
I know it's come a long way. It's been a couple of years in the process, but I think that, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, I think that we will be, talking more in the very near future, having some more conversations, and hopefully, we'll be sitting here again talking about, maybe single or multifamily house in Shrewsbury.
All right, fantastic. Feel free, as you start to go through that process, to reach back out. We're happy to collaborate with you on that, identifying properties that are going to be the best fit, or identifying why a particular property may be a, more desirable, better fit than another. We have our construction manager who is highly skilled at navigating these things, and so he can do site walkthroughs, and is, more than happy to provide input on that sort of thing, so.
That's great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Inspiring.
Yep. And
Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. We are thrilled that Shrewsbury has CPA funds and now a functioning active housing trust. This is very exciting news, so really looking forward to working with you.
Likewise.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, the Regional Housing Coordinator Program Services.
Yep. So we have with us Jasifa, who is our regional housing coordinator through CMRPC. She's attended a couple of our meetings. The trust will remember the CMRPC started this program last year. We've renewed that contract for this fiscal year, moving into that program. So this is we pay for a certain number of hours each week. And Jasifa helps us with all of our housing initiatives. A number of other communities are involved in this program as well. Obviously, we've been doing some work, but we wanted to kind of bring this back to the trust as we've kind of renewed that contract and just kind of reevaluate tasks that we want to embark on as we kind of wrap up what we've been doing and try to figure out, how best to utilize Jasifa's talents. So.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I have something that just came to mind.
Okay, sure. Shoot it away.
How about reviewing the vacant town-owned land?
I was just, I've done something similar with, that's what I was asking, is with Mendon, where we have a parcel they have a I keep on saying we, because, I feel like I'm a part of them. But there's a parcel that was purchased, and they needed some assistance and some help with the water and sewer, and also like a complete street evaluation, which there was a mass housing grant that we applied for, which we got the grant, and even helped out with, for example, Princeton on something similar with an affordable housing initiative that they're doing. So what we can potentially do is maybe something like that with the vacant land with Habitat as something that we're in the remarks with, because Berlin is also running into the same issue where we're selecting vacant land and seeing if that will be eligible. So I am more than happy to help you all with
Great.
that.
I know we have multiple lists circulating, and I think that we just need to, review that, purge it, put it into one active file,
Yeah,
and see then if we can identify couple of good candidates there.
Yeah.
We can start the process.
yeah, if you all wanna, or whoever is in that list, yeah, we can definitely do that to start off with, yeah.
You're great.
Sure. And I won't put a timeline, but if we could just put a rush on it.
Yeah,
that would be great. It's like,
We have it by the end of the meeting?
Oh, that'd be great.
the goal is, and I don't know if you're aware, we're working closely with CPC.
Yeah,
And, one thing that I would love to do is just to show, what opportunities we have out here in our own backyard. And then, have the opportunity to partner with either Habitat or some other nonprofit or for-profit out there that's willing to develop on the land.
yeah, definitely.
Right? Well,
And then I guess, or do I just, yeah. So I know that you guys have an affordable housing trust plan, which is awesome. I was trying to, I guess, have a discussion about like what is working on the plan and what's not working as one part of the conversation, so that I can kind of get a better understanding of.
Well, right now, I would say it's just, getting the momentum.
Okay.
And what's key here is just, identifying the opportunities. We have had some conversations with, some potential partners and see if they're interested, but that's more a larger scale. But if we have, any, of these smaller lots where we can, build a single or a duplex, I think that would be a start until we get to a point where, a bigger opportunity presents itself.
And then I guess my next thing is, besides this, are there any other programs you all are interested in? I know, for example, with Berlin, we are doing, or we've gotten an approval for this, but like a down payment assistance program as an example for first-time home buyers. We're also doing first-time home buyers classes and things along that line. So anything maybe along that, and maybe,
Yeah, so I think that's something that we can explore.
through the pipeline.
Right,
yeah.
because I know that, my line of work, I know that, I have other CDCs that do offer that, and
Yeah.
I've seen that has been successful, especially now with the down payment assistance.
Yeah,
The home prices are out of reach,
Yeah.
which means also when that
Yeah.
deposit is coming in there, the down payment is also high.
yeah,
So I think that's something that we can put together and have a conversation at a
Yeah.
future meeting.
sure. But right now, the priority is the vacant land and identifying that.
Vacant land number one.
Perfect, sounds great.
Yeah, I think if I could, request, maybe that's as those other programs, as you're working on those in other communities, if we could get kind of like, for lack of a better term, kind of a menu of those kinds of
Yeah.
projects that other communities have
Yeah.
done. And then we can kind of, the trust would be able to kind of evaluate those and try to prioritize those and see which ones we really want to, tackle first. I think we're going to like them all, but,
Yeah.
we'll be able to see which ones are kind of the most prevalent at first.
Yeah.
I also, having been deep in the housing production plan, anticipating some of the results of some of this, definitely want to see what the vacant land list comes up with. But I have a feeling that we may struggle to find available town-owned land that's conducive to new housing. So I do think that we do have to look at a potential strategy of either property acquisition or the rehab programs. I think there's a need to take to put it pretty bluntly, to take market rate housing and to either through rehab or deed restriction then bring those onto the subsidized housing inventory. And I think that will help us with progress of a lot of the housing goals that we identified. So I think, hearing from Habitat that they have, somewhat similar programs, I think there might be opportunity to explore that. So I think if we can kind of explore if there's other communities that have programs such as that, again, with the kind of overall objective of taking market rate property and getting it towards the SHI, I think that would be helpful for us to look at as well. I think that's probably longer term that we would engage in something like that, but starting the process of at least understanding how that works out.
No, yeah, that's a good point, because I think, from here, the questions that we were asking was basically, that caught our attention as well. But just, trying to figure out where it all fits in
With,
is the question.
Yeah, because similar communities are asking where that's like, okay, how can we put that in the SHI? Because we have a lot of old buildings and things along that line, and how we're gonna put the rehab into that aspect of it. Yeah, that's key there.
Yeah, so I think let's look at the list, let's look at any opportunities to purchase, something out there in the town, and I think that's 1 and 1A.
Yeah,
And then see what else we can come up with.
yeah,
What any one of us can think of as well, that we can put in there and into the mix.
yeah. And I know a lot of towns are like, that's where they're really excited with the Habitat for Humanity projects and things along that line. It's so exciting.
It is.
So much going on with it.
I was doing some homework and looking at a couple of the nonprofits, community development corporations. But, they all are locked into their service area as well, which makes it a little challenging. And, the one to the east and one to the west of us, both of them end just before our town, or a couple towns over. So, I will have a conversation with them to see if that's locked in or if there's an opportunity for them to, do anything here in Shrewsbury as well. And as far as the multifamily developers, there's a couple of them that are working, one developing here in Shrewsbury on Route 20, another one in Worcester. Having conversations with them to see if there's any interest, in developing here in Shrewsbury as well. Their programs are a little different, they're relying on the low-income housing tax credits, so that process, can take from start to finish.
That's very invasive.
Yes.
Very invasive.
A lot of years, so,
Yeah.
5 years, easy.
Yeah,
if
and then
not
after
more,
you
so.
have it, to maintain the program is something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the update that we have there. Any other questions? No. We touched on C, vacant land, town owned. Is there anything else to add on that one?
I think you pretty much summed it up for why we wanted to put that on the list. So our office maintains a list, and I know the assessors has a list. We also had a list that was generated by Mo DiPaolo, who does a lot of kind of work on the background and some of these things. And so we've pretty much went through all of the lists that we know of vacant land and put them in the drive. There's probably a lot of overlap between them, but I think being able to compare those and pull those together is going to help us to kind of coalesce those efforts that multiple entities have done and provide that real definitive starting point to as we move into a potential of evaluating vacant land and evaluating potential acquisition possibilities. So using those lists, I think the goal overall is to get those into one definitive list. Our office is available to then work to implement that into the GIS system, which will help us to really drive further analysis of the data, and from that I think we can really develop a path forward. So it's just the goal to put that on there and have any other discussion in terms of that initiative. So
Right. Okay. Next item is the joint working group with CPC. I think we have a meeting on the books on the 27th, I think it is.
I believe that's correct. And just as a brief update to that, so this, I think we discussed at the last update on this, we do have a joint funding agreement draft that has been sent to town council for comment. I'm hoping to have that prior to the next joint committee meeting with comments back that we can finalize that document. And then just as a reminder for process, what that working group will do is then bring that back to the formal space for the trust to review. And at the same time, it'll be bringing that to CPC for them to review in open meeting. So I think we've gotten a pretty good proposal for that document. It's drawn from a number of sources, including CPC's or CPA, the coalition's draft bylaw, but we looked at some other communities as well and incorporated quite a bit. So as well as evaluated it for our own needs. So once we get that town council checkup, I think we'll be good to go to really kind of hit the ground running in that and hopefully get some funding between those two entities.
Okay. Pieces are falling into place. It's good.
Yeah.
Anything else? No comments? No? Okay. Item 6, correspondence.
Yep, so I did provide, we have our updated housing production plan draft. I do know we're working at a very quick pace on this, so I know that came out just a few days ago, and just for the trust knowledge, I did want to provide that to you, collect any preliminary comments. I'm sure trust members have been following along with the process as quick as it's been. I do anticipate that we will have Planning Board and Conservation Commission review and approve this on the 17th, and then this will be before Select Board on the 24th for their review and approval as well. So again, a very kind of short window for review and comment. Obviously, we'll take comments up into the minute that we submit it to the state, but I do believe it's in pretty substantial state at this point. So just wanted to give that opportunity for the trust to be aware of it.
Yeah. I mean, I was not surprised with some of the items that I saw here. Skyrocketing, home prices, aging in place as well has been, it's going to be a challenge here. And, the challenges of young adults, trying to, root themselves or continue to stay here in Shrewsbury, with lack of affordable housing, whether rental or home buying. So I think that it hit basically, the items that we've discussed here internally, which makes it all that important for us to, continue pushing this along. Any? No?
Kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, no, it does.
Definitely.
It does, and
It's
it
trying to
also,
turn along.
at the end, with some of the recommendations there from CPC and Affordable Housing Trust there, it hits spot on, with the items there, and working on partnerships and finding other avenues, so low-hanging fruit,
Yep.
let's say, to get the process going.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most interesting parts of the update for me, was kind of going through the progress check of the implementation steps and seeing, the prior one saying to start, by creating the trust and coordinating with CPC, consider adopting the CPA. So all those recommendations we've really followed through on, and then, trying to develop what that next step is and providing those recommendations. As well as I do want to just, again, reiterate the community, even with the shortened timeline, we had the survey. We received 282 unique responses. I think the prior record in our office for responses was 80. So I just, we blew that out of the water. And I just, I want to commend staff for, developing that, that survey and getting that out there, and commend everyone who participated in that as well. That was great to be able to get that feedback, in such a short amount of time. So,
Any other comments? No. So that goes through our list. Just always, before we adjourn, I always like to confirm next meeting. It's on everyone's calendar. That'll be, is it October 10th, 7 p.m.? Still good for everyone?
I don't think I'm going to be here. Let me check. I'm going to be on my way to London. I can't be away.
You'll be
I'm going to be away.
away.
I'm going to London.
You're entitled.
Going to see my daughter.
Great, so October 10th. And at the end, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.